I would never call somebody names. I would never attack somebody. These are things I won't do for my worst enemy. My father molested me, and I still love him.
This type of narcissist looks for people to have compassion and sympathy for them when it's not warranted by the circumstances.
But rather than slap me or spank me, she just hit me in the face with her fist. I've been hit in the head with a hammer. I've been hit in the head with a big glass bottle, have it shattered over my head. That stuff thrown across me, across the room. Food was part of the abuse as well. She turns the hammer around, and instead of hitting me with the hard end, which could easily have cracked my skull, she hit me with the claw end, which just kind of scratched the scalp pretty hard and caused me to bleed. But she hit me a few times with it and then just got bored and left.
This type of narcissist, though, is really looking for somebody to feel sorry for them.
If you've followed me for any amount of time, back in 2019, you'll know I had a nervous breakdown. You know I spent a tremendous amount of money on dumb things. But the biggest issue is that I had a nice big nest egg. I took some financial advice from a friend, and I'm not pointing fingers necessarily. I took the advice, but I put my money in the crypto market in the wrong section, and I pretty much lost most of everything. That sucks. That really sucks.
They exaggerate or fabricate stories of loss, oppression, or persecution, and then try to make sure that everybody knows about their story. They may promote it through social media, by telling people in person, any way they can get the word out there, again, about the story they made up.
I'm a fatally flawed, broken person. You know, I'm not that different from my mom. I'm not that different from my dad. I've never molested anybody. You know, I didn't beat my kids. I chose not to have kids so I wouldn't do those things.
The proclivity to be polite in a conversation is very strong. And if you're polite, you don't object to the way that the person unfolds their strategy, you know. And psychopaths are pretty good at figuring out how to manipulate, obviously, how to manipulate people. And the probability that you will be immune to that is extraordinarily low.
I was entirely certain that I was going to delete myself.
What's up, retards of YouTube? Gilded Poo here, coming at you pre-recorded live once again through the power of Go Fuck Yourself. Today, most obviously, we are talking about Boogie, everybody's favorite obese, manipulative piece of shit scam artist. That said, you might be thinking, well, you're a piece of shit. I mean, hell, your name is Gilded Poo, and you're absolutely correct. But one thing I am not is a scam artist. To prove that, I'm gonna say right here and now that if you come into this video expecting it to be some kind of pseudo-intellectual wannabe documentary discussing the nuances of Boogie's time online, well, that's not what you're gonna get. That's not what you're gonna get from this video at all. It's not even remotely close to that. What you're gonna get instead is a very long and detailed hateful tangent on why someone like myself came to the realization that Boogie 2988 is both a prolific scammer and a habitual liar. You got that? Good. Well, now that we've got all that gay shit out of the way, who is Boogie 2988? He is one of the OG YouTube personalities, making a YouTube account the very same year YouTube made its way to the internet. That's probably the fastest Boogie has ever been in his entire life. He would then go on to make a name for himself as the funny fat man, doing weird stunts in his bedroom, eating weird food, and, well, generally just being the waddling stereotype of a fat ass. Of course, really early on in his YouTube career, he was very heavily trolled. And funny enough, this is where Francis comes in. That's right, Francis was a direct response to trolling, and he used Francis to troll the trolls. Though this was actually a genius idea, this would also prove to be his last genius idea. This of course jump-started his popularity in the early 2010s, and this is where I started watching Boogie and yes, became a fan. However, much like Boogie's wealth, that wouldn't last. Anyways, let us fast forward a bit. Boogie is not a nice guy, despite what he and his flock of care lords might tell you. He's an asshole. Now, granted, I'm an asshole too, but at least I admit it. Boogie, however, lies frequently and consistently about just how much of a nice guy he thinks he is.
I had a guy try to rob me once. He tried to break into my apartment. And you know what I did? I drove him home.
If you've ever met me in real life, you'll know that I genuinely care about you. If you're a creator, if you're a fan, if you're a random person on the street, I'm going to ask you, how are you? and then I'm going to ask you, no, how are you really? I don't know. Maybe it'll save a life.
Like, that's the thing. Like, I care about the people who hate me. I can't stop.
My father molested me, and I still love him. My mother beat me daily, and I still loved her.
Because I like to help. I like to learn. I like to know what's going on, and if I can help you fix it, I will.
What will you do if Frank Hassel walks up to you in public?
Take him out to dinner, man.
Now, all that may sound good and all, but the issue is just how much he has single-handedly outright contradicted that. His fans seem to insist he's actually a nice guy that simply fucks up sometimes, and he makes very similar claims.
I'm a nice guy who fucks up sometimes, dude.
That explanation may sound well and good, but is there any truth to it? Anybody can seem like a good person when their integrity remains untested. What good is claiming to hold on to virtues if nobody ever challenges you on them? What makes someone a good person isn't the simple holding of a virtue, but rather the strength to hold on to those virtues in the face of opposition. So when criticized, does Boogie act in accordance to his own alleged virtues? Does he remain the Mr. Rogers of YouTube? Does his good guy persona stand true?
But I want you to know, I think you are the lowest of the low. I think you are the worst of the worst. I think that there are fucking rapists and Nazis out there who, even though they are rapists and fucking Nazis, they are more redeemable than you. If you're stupid enough to think that of me, then I can't help how stupid you are. Like, you can't teach physics to a dog. And if you're someone stupid enough to think I would ever verbally assault somebody, I can't teach you physics, you know. What I'm saying is there are people out there, little assholes, little douchebags, little dickheads, little cunts, little shit faces, little fucking whatever the fuck you want to call them. And they fucking little pricks, little fucking ball sacks, little scrotal faced pieces of shit, whatever you want to apply to them.
I have a friend who works for the FBI, and I asked him how to deal with the online harassment that I get.
And so what it turned out to be is this YouTuber, like, basically made a bullshit video pretending that I said I was ever broke. But with all the ads I do in my videos, you'd have to be fucking stupid to not realize I'm making good money.
Now, all of that may look pretty bad on its face, but like most things, we need to dig a little deeper. We have not yet scratched the surface. So let's take a moment to talk about mental health. And to be very clear and upfront, I take mental health about as seriously as the next guy, and I ain't some psychology denier by any stretch of the imagination. That said, I'm also not a psychologist, so take what I say and everything that follows with a pinch of salt. Boogie is really, frankly speaking, full of shit about his mental illnesses. Not to say that he doesn't have any, because of course it's obvious to basically everybody that Boogie is mental. The issue comes down to responsibility. There's obviously several mental illnesses that are serious enough to warrant forgiveness on the basis that the person cannot be held liable for their actions due to mental illness. Examples of this would be severe autism or full-blown schizophrenia, among a decently sized list of other such severe mental illnesses. Boogie's alleged disorders, and I say alleged because we have nothing but his word to go on in terms of mental illness, aren't on this list. They're not severe enough to warrant what was outlined above. No amount of bipolar depression or suicidal thoughts can excuse his behavior.
I was going to disassociate, I was going to depersonalize, I was going to say and do really stupid stuff.
And I found that a comment that I left last night on Twitter has had some clapback. I said that one of the reasons my career failed was because of my extreme mental illness, and I see that there are people in the world who still doubt that I'm mentally ill. So, little update for you. People who are mentally well don't eat themselves to 600 pounds trying to kill themselves with food. And people who are mentally well don't get gastric bypass surgery and then fail to lose the majority of the weight. And people who are mentally healthy, they don't ruin their YouTube careers by continuing to engage with lunatics on Twitter and subreddits and making videos trying to convince these people to like them over and over again. Mentally healthy people don't open the doors when a crazy motherfucker from one of those people from that group are on his front doorstep. Mentally healthy people don't do the shit I do. And you must be one dumb motherfucker to think you do, because even a dumb motherfucker is smart enough to not do the shit I do.
Yeah, of course I fucking talked about this, dude. I was depersonalized. I was disassociated. What are you guys surprised about?
However, this is a pretty minor and irrelevant thing compared to his trump card, suicide. When all else fails, when he has nothing left, he will guilt trip with suicide.
Tell you what, I will give you $10,000 if you will fucking get an assassin to blow my fucking brains out in the middle of the night. I will make sure that my lawyer wires you 10 grand if you can get me fucking killed. Can you do that for me? Because I don't have the balls.
There are a lot of lies and horse in your video. If you want to discuss it privately, I would love to. For example, check my ex-wife's Twitter. She admits there was never any abuse. She admits there was never an NDA. Yet you continue to preach it like it's real. Really quick. The only reason why in my video I said that he got an NDA is because he said it. But I've never been an abuser. I would myself before I would abuse another person. And I'm sorry if it came across like I was insinuating that, but I would never insinuate that someone is abusing their significant other. I hope that it doesn't happen. I don't know. I don't know these people. I would take my own life before I would do to others what has been done to me. And it's a real shame that you think otherwise. I promise you, if I ever make the mistake of being abusive to someone like my parents were to me, I will myself as the very next thing. That is manipulation. He is manipulating me. I can see right through it.
He will even threaten weaponizing suicide against his critics. And some of you OG subscribers to my channel know exactly how I feel about that.
But when I give up, I want to make it very fucking clear to you. My plan is to delete my Twitter, to delete my Twitch, to delete my YouTube, post one video on all of them that says goodbye, says that I screwed up, says that this is what happens when you serial harass somebody.
While we're on the topic, he does something even more insidious. Yes, there is something more insidious than threatening to weaponize your suicide against others. He has a long history of manipulating his viewers by thanking them for watching his videos, and by watching his videos, they save his life.
For those of you who have empathized with me, you have saved me. I hope you know that. At least as best I can be saved. So
to know that I have a core audience that is never going to drink the Kool-Aid, that's never going to believe these horrible, monstrous lies about me. It saved my life. I hope.
On the surface, this doesn't seem like a big deal, even seems somewhat innocent. But in reality, it is an obvious implication that if they don't watch, he will kill himself. Don't believe me? That's okay, because he said that himself.
Once I've fully given up hope, once I'm fully ready to go, once the internet has forgotten about me and you guys you don't need me anymore and I'm not needed around anymore, and if I haven't found a wife and I haven't had kids or something like that, and I haven't had the life that I wanted for myself, and I'm just miserable and alone, I don't think I'll have any problem pulling the trigger.
Now, if all of that sounds convoluted, that's okay, because Boogie makes it even more clear. By clear, I mean, of course, he completely contradicts literally everything he said on the subject in the worst way humanly possible.
And sometimes when I trust somebody, I will express my suicidal tendencies to them, hoping that they are smart enough to know that I'll never actually act on them, because I haven't acted on them since I was 30, or since 2009 was the last attempt that I acted on them. And I want them to know that I'm safe. And I would never, if I was suicidal, what would be the logic in telling someone? If I had planned to kill myself tonight, what would be the point in telling somebody? They're just going to interrupt it. If I was actually ever suicidal, no one would know until I was gone.
In summary, if you criticize Boogie, he will flip out on you. And if that fails, he will publicly threaten you with his own suicide, despite his simultaneous claims that he never really means it, because if he did want to kill himself, he wouldn't tell anyone, he would just do it. But only after telling everyone it is your fault for why he did it in a video he would upload onto his channel, where he spent the better part of a decade convincing his viewers that they saved his life by watching his videos videos that they no longer care to watch because they've now failed in their imposed responsibility to keep him alive. Does that make any sense to you? Yeah, me neither. But that's okay, because he's never actually ever been suicidal.
After a lifetime of misery and a lifetime of mental disorder, I often considered death to be relaxing or relieving, something that I actually looked forward to. I was never fully suicidal.
Needless to say, I think that should all be enough to say that Boogie is an absolutely disingenuous and trashy loser that likely deserves much more hate than he receives already. There's only so far you can climb through a moldy fat flap before you've really seen enough, right? Well, no, we're not done yet. Not even fucking close. But speaking of sweaty man tits, let's talk about Boogie's weight loss. Boogie has spent entire years role-playing as YouTube's weird twisted version of that gay-ass show The Biggest Loser, discussing his weight loss plans, updates, attempts, diets, and surgeries, and all that shit. This has been going on for years. Even made an entire YouTube account dedicated solely and explicitly to his weight loss that I doubt you even knew about. So what happens when you do that for so long? What happens when you quite literally make that your brand? People expect to see results, obviously. So what happens when they don't see any results? What happens after years of promising to lose more and more and more weight, after promising diet after diet with no results? What do you think happens? Well, people start asking questions. And what happens when you ask Boogie critical questions? If you guessed he becomes a complete and utter dick, you guessed correctly.
I wasn't able to continue my clean eating, man. I'm really sorry about that. I guess it was very important to you, and I'm sorry that it was. All right. So a lot of people are wondering why I'm stuck at 340 pounds. And there's three major reasons, okay? There's three things that have to say that. Number one, fuck you. It's none of your fucking business. It's my body. It's my choice. Eat shit, right? It's only your business when I make it your business.
But that's fine, right? It's not like that's bait and switch or anything, after all. He did say that he's focusing on his brain and not his weight right now.
My primary focus is not on my body right now. My primary focus is on my brain. Now, part of that is my body. I am walking more and more every day. I could show you the blisters on my feet for how much I've been walking if you want to see them. I got fucking wounds on the bottom of my feet because I'm walking as much as I can. I'm walking on my treadmill. I'm walking my dog. I'm going to theme parks. I'm trying to up my mobility. I'm doing my exercise. I'm doing everything I can do. What I'm not doing is I'm not cutting back on what I eat because food makes me happy and I want to be happy right now. So I'm eating some of the foods that I shouldn't be eating because I like being happy, because I'm struggling with my mental health right now, and food helps me with that.
That's it, right? It's over. Boogie is done focusing on his weight and no longer caters to the I'm a pitiful fat ass brand he created for himself over the course of a decade, right? Wait, he uses AI software to make himself look fatter in thumbnails in order to cater to the very prior mentioned brand he created? The very brand he himself said he was done with? What?
I'm gonna say something, Boogie. I want your response. All right. I feel like you have an audience of people that want you to be fat. All right. Now hear me out. Here's my theory. I'm looking at your channel and I'm seeing little views, 30K here, whatever, little views, 24K. But then when you use the fake AI for the thumbnails to make yourself look fatter, you get more views. You got 113,000 views on that fake AI. That's not really what you look.
No, somebody told me when I was at my biggest, that was the biggest draw, is how fat I was, right? And like when I got the surgery and I got down to like a slightly more normal looking shape and like worked on my teeth and worked on my face, the freak show was over, man. You know, there are people out there who just want to click on a freak show. That's all they care about.
So
you fix. I'm a low cal, but I'm not a freak. You know.
So you fix your teeth, you lose weight, and you lose views.
Oh, that's interesting. That's both genuinely funny and absolutely contradicting. Wait, he still talks about his weight too? Well, shit. Well, at least he's still on brand, even if he says he isn't, to deflect criticism. This is likely the closest he's ever been to consistent about literally anything, even if it's still filled with complete and utter bullshit. The fact is, Boogie can't lose weight. He won't lose weight, or at least not enough to not be fat anymore. it is in his best interests to remain fat. Not just because he's addicted to food, but also because, as he has so heavily implied himself, less weight equals less clicks. And honestly, he is not entirely incorrect. His entire brand was being fat and sad. And instead of following through with that brand, what he did instead, after spending 15 years of creating that brand, is spend from 2019 to 2021 eating that brand and then shitting it out all over his fucking audience. And as a result, he's making less money. But speaking of money, let's talk about that Tesla incident, shall we? In 2019, literally Boogie's best year, Boogie dropped a video on July 16th where he's riding with McJuggernuggets, he'll be important later, in a Tesla. A new Tesla at that.
I made the front page of Reddit for trying to buy a Tesla. I originally put my deposit down. I said on Twitter that I did buy it. All I did was put down a deposit. They were going to build mine special where he got a factory-made one.
So are you getting it or not?
So as it is right now, I still have a $2,500 deposit there. Oh. And if I want to, I can go ahead with it. And people are like, oh, Boogie, you want people to pay for your Tesla. Of course, why wouldn't I want someone to pay for my Tesla? Elon, if you're watching, pay for my Tesla. But I have no expectation that Elon's going to pay for my Tesla. I was just going to pay, well, basically cash.
Yeah, that seems pretty clear, right? He put down a down payment, he's going to pay for it with his own money, and he didn't want anyone crowdfunding it, right? No biggie. Well, minus the part where he said this on stream earlier that same month.
Oh, are you trying to manipulate people into giving you money?
The answer is yes. Jesse's like, treat yourself, so I'm like, treat myself, so yes. If you guys want to help me pay for my Tesla, please go ahead and dig deep. I sure would like a free fucking Tesla. Reach down in your pockets and give me $100,000 tonight. Okay, but that said, people are like, why are you complaining about money on the internet? Because I just spent $100,000. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire.
Gee, Boogie, I wonder why anyone could have possibly got the idea that you were trying to e-beg for a Tesla. I have no clue, clearly. We're all dumbfounded. We have no idea. You said you already bought it, and they were building it for you. You said you were gonna make payments, and that you already had $100K in the hole. And yet, for some reason, on April 16th, you're pretending like you never said any of that.
Ah, shit, that's right. I don't have a Tesla. That's right, because I never did buy it. Because I realized it would be a big waste of money. And even though I was just gonna pay for it myself, people got it into their heads that I was somehow wanting my fans to pay for it. And that just gave me like a negative connotation.
Basically the same fucking shit you said 2 years earlier. Just totally gaslight everybody, it's fine. To be fair, he never did actually buy that Tesla. He never followed through. However, there is a host of other things I could go into, like the blatant contradictions in his child abuse story, that he waited for his parents to be dead before even discussing in the first place.
I saw this. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, people are crazy. How do I respond? My mother never raped me. My mother did molest me. She never, like, forced me to have sex with her, but she did molest me. It's a simple thing. I don't know why people are like that. What the heck? I don't understand. And I guess he just doesn't understand the difference between rape and molestation. But yeah, I got molested, but not raped by my parents. Do me a favor and clip this for me, okay? I deal with everything with comedy. My own mortality, my mother's death, my father raping me. I got molested but not raped by my parents. I would rather relive my entire childhood with all of the rapes and the molestations and the beatings than I would to have gone through that divorce. I really would have. I really would have. It sucked. It sucked. But that said, I still want nothing but the best for her.
I grew up in an abusive home. I suffered mental, physical, and even sexual abuse at the hands of my caretakers and family. The mental abuse was daily, the physical abuse every few days, and fortunately the sexual abuse was only once.
With all of the rapes and the molestations.
Through years of practice and therapy I learned to forgive my parents for my rape and my physical and mental abuse.
I got molested but not raped by my parents.
I was raped as a kid. It made me who I am. Is rape good? No. Do I like who I am? Yes. Some good came out of my rape. Do you understand?
I got molested but not raped by my parents.
Hot take. One of the things that seems to upset people the most is forgiveness. I forgave my abusers. My rapist. The people who mock me online.
I got molested but not raped by my parents.
I most commonly overeat when I'm thinking about the horrible shit that happened to me in the past. The day I was first raped.
Is someone who celebrates being a piece of shit redeemable? I don't think they are. A rapist could be redeemable. My parents raped me, and I believe they were redeemable.
One day my dad, the alcoholic, he's like, hey, dude, like, listen, like, your mom's gone. Like, do you know what porn is? And I'm like, nah. And he's like, here's a magazine. Like, this is what women are. It's like sex is healthy and normal. And like, let me show you, because you're going to want to learn to masturbate. Let me show you how to masturbate. Here, you can jerk me off if you like. Yeah, that's what my dad did.
I got molested but not raped by my parents.
And fortunately, the sexual abuse was only once.
With all of the rapes and the molestations, my father raping me.
I got molested but not raped by my parents. And I will, of course, also ignore the fact that he claimed that mandated reporters, the entire school staff, all knew about his alleged child abuse, but, said absolutely nothing whatsoever. It's a state cover-up.
The bruises and the cuts and the scratches just completely went ignored by the folks at my high school. I never really understood how or why. Eventually, I did ask a teacher there, and I asked them, why did that happen? Why did you guys not know that was happening? And they said, yes, we knew it was happening. We tried to help as best we could. It was pretty obvious that the school knew what was going on, though, because one incident actually happened on school grounds. I knew they were having financial trouble, and I must have been 14 at the time. I was in French club, and we were going to some sort of winery for like a day trip. But it was like $25 is what you needed to have to go. You had to have a permission slip signed, and I knew Mom didn't have very much money. So as we approached the school for me to be dropped off, she sees that bus and sees kids from my class getting on, and she goes, oh, is there a field trip today? I said, yeah, but I'm not going. I'm just staying at the library with the other kids that can't afford to go. And she lost her mind, and she began to whip the car around and start driving to a bank. She's like, now I'm going to be late for work. And she begins to, while driving her car, speeding down the road, clawing at my face. And I remember she caught my left eye just briefly, scratching the cornea a tiny little bit. And my brain just took over. That PTSD, that fight or flight just took over. And we were doing 30 miles an hour, but I just opened the door to the car and I got out. And I hit the ground and I rolled and I scratched up my stomach and I scratched up my face a little bit and I scratched up my arms and legs. And my principal and my teacher and all the kids in my class saw that happen, and nothing really came of it.
Why didn't you get me taken out of the home? If you knew I was being beaten and molested, why didn't you take me out of the home? And she said, your mother once told that if they ever tried to take you out of the home the way they did your sister, she would kill you because you were all she had left.
But I'm not going to do any of that because, well, that'd be rude. I also probably should mention that Mr. Nice Guy over here decided to, shoot a gun in a public area and then threatened to fucking wound the guy that came to his house.
I'll shoot to wound.
Which really, if you think about it, is pretty fucked up in a way. That's more malicious than just shooting the guy in the fucking head. Killing him. Like, you're aiming to wound to injure the guy? What the fuck? Which is especially odd because he also said that he was gonna take the guy out to eat and then he would never hurt him prior to the incident.
Why would you let him?
Yeah, I'm a pacifist.
You would let him. Frank he's a big guy. He's over 6 feet. He's a big guy. You would let him put those big paws.
Please hit me and kill me. Please kill me.
My neighbors will beat the shit out of him.
Yeah, it'll be a one-sided fight, man. He's gonna punch, and I'll just stand there and take it like I have done literally 3 other times in my life.
What will you do if Frank Hassel walks up to you in public?
Take him out to dinner, man.
But everyone already knows about the incident, so why bother even mentioning it? I could also talk about the clip I showed earlier.
And if I haven't found a wife and I haven't had kids or something like that, and I haven't had the life that I, wanted for myself, and I'm just miserable and alone, I don't think I'll have any problem pulling the trigger.
Which actually gets pretty creepy when you consider that the following clip also exists in the same Boogie cinematic universe.
I am a fatally flawed, broken person. I'm not that different from my mom. I'm not that different from my dad. I've never molested anybody.
You know, I didn't beat my kids. I chose not to have kids so I wouldn't do those things.
But I'm not going to mention any of that either, because I'm certain that some of you people honestly believe that Boogie is a nice guy. I wouldn't want to break the little delusion you got going there. Fast forwarding to current year, has any of that changed at all? Are all those criticisms mentioned previously suddenly invalid? Is Boogie a renewed person? Haha! No, don't kid yourselves.
People really like to get mad at me.
In the following clip, he claims that he does not want to be bailed out, that all of his legal bills are paid. You know, the legal bills from shooting guns in public areas, you know, that one, that he paid for all of that out of pocket.
Let me point out just how expensive all of this was. And obviously, I took money out of my bank account and I paid for it out of pocket. I'm not putting up a GoFundMe. I'm not e-begging here. I'm not asking you to bail me out. What I am saying is this cost tens of thousands of dollars to fight to get the outcome that we got. Is it a perfect outcome? No. But it's the one that we got, and it cost a fuckload to get there.
Well, that's great and all, but unfortunately this video dropped a few months later.
Well, this is a video I've dreaded making, but it's time, so I'm asking for your help as we head into the holiday season. Not happy about it, but here we are. You know, I spent a tremendous amount of money on dumb things, but the biggest issue is that I had a nice big nest egg. I took some financial advice from a friend, and I'm not pointing fingers necessarily. I took the advice, but I put my money in the crypto market in the wrong section, and I pretty much lost most of everything. That sucks. That really sucks.
Blatant e-begging, isn't it? But I mean, it wouldn't be so much of a big deal had he not also followed it up with this.
When I uploaded that video, I expected nothing but negativity. Specifically because I left out a lot of reasons that I was having money problems. I left out the fact that I spent $27,000 in legal fees.
I wonder why you didn't mention the $26,000 in legal bills, Boogie. Oh wait, I know why. Because you knew you'd blatantly contradict yourself if you had. And you said it anyways. It's like Boogie has this magic fucking power of consistently contradicting himself. Now, I'm well aware that many have gone after Boogie for this recent example of blatant e-begging, and I would like to ignore the humorous fact that Boogie only got $750, with most of whatever remaining fans he had bashing him in the comments section instead of forking up their hard-earned cash. No, instead, remember when I mentioned McJuggernuggets and that he would be important later? Apparently, there was some drama that happened over some Halloween party at McJuggernuggets' house. Some gay shit went down and so on, who cares? Anyways, Boogie got blamed for a lot of shit that, as a factual matter, he legit had nothing to do with. Despite the tone of this video, I'm 100% sure that McJuggernuggets made up shit and tried to throw Boogie under the bus. Just to make that perfectly clear, I am not in any way, shape, or form defending McJuggernuggets, okay? Got it? Good. However, between that time and October 5th, McJuggernuggets' cameraman, also known as Swift, had transitioned to female. The shit fucking hit the fan. Swift went on a Keffels-inspired campaign against McJuggernuggets, attempting to cancel him, accusing him of transphobia, or whatever the fuck. And because of that 2019 Halloween party 3 years ago, Boogie decided to join the fray, publicly throwing McJuggernuggets on October 5th, 2022 under the bus in defense of Swift. Now, I don't entirely blame Boogie for this, but ignoring the fact aiding in cancel culture kinda directly contradicts the entire "I'm a nice guy" mantra, I want the viewer to know that it gets a little bit worse from here. Much worse, actually. You know what else happened on that fateful day of October 5th, 2022? That's right, that Gimme Money video I showed you a clip from at the start of this wonderful segment. Remember when he said this?
I had a nice big nest egg. I took some financial advice from a friend, and I'm not pointing fingers necessarily. I took the advice, but I put my money in the crypto market in the wrong section, and I pretty much lost most of everything.
Can you guess which friend it was? It was McJuggernuggets. How do I know? On the 18th of January 2022, Boogie makes the now infamous video saying he put all of his savings and everything into crypto and is now filthy fucking rich.
I did something very stupid that I do not recommend anyone else ever do. But it worked. I basically took every dime I had in liquid funds and invested it in a huge gamble. And I did this at the advice of my friend Jesse Ridgway, McJuggernuggets.
As you saw, that friend was McJuggernuggets, and now on October 5th, 2022, Boogie not only publicly bashed him in defense of Emily, aka Swift, but also throws shade at McJuggernuggets in a you know who you are sort of way, blaming McJuggernuggets for his loss in crypto. And if all of that wasn't enough evidence that McJuggernuggets was the person that he is blaming for his financial situation, well, it turns out that the person that was helping him make the e-begging video was none other than Emily.
But I happened to go somewhat viral recently. The video did pretty well, but I talked about my financial situation. My friend Emily Saxton and my friend Kid Behind the Camera both helped me with that video.
Which is an absolutely fucking hilarious set of coincidences, am I right? However, I absolutely doubt this is a coincidence. And I also doubt that Boogie just up and lost all of his savings conveniently on the same fucking day that the anti-McJuggernuggets campaign started, the very campaign that Boogie joined. I'm pretty sure he spent it all and just wanted to pin the blame on his once friend, now turned enemy, and that's fine. The only issue that I take with any of this is that Boogie continues to roleplay as the good guy in the process. That fake shit is why nobody likes you, Boogie. Stop it. Clearly, Boogie is not the nice guy he paints himself as, and branding every criticism as misinformation or hateful, or going as far as to make multiple "I'm sorry, I'm trying" videos is not good enough. If all of that isn't bad enough, Boogie is now advocating for YouTube to censor all content that he defines as hateful content.
YouTube profits from hate, and it's killing its creators. And I'm not a huge fan of censorship, honestly. But YouTube censors shit all the time, right? They censored misinformation about COVID. They censor misinformation about brands. They censor misinformation about politics. But when it comes to the creators, fuck them.
Imagine being that entitled for a minute. Like, damn, man. Like, you're acting like a fucking spoiled child. Do you know why YouTube cares more about COVID-19 and politics information than they care about you or other content creators? It's really simple, and I'm really pissed off that I have to defend YouTube's rationale for like 10 seconds. The reason why is because COVID-19 affects more people than just you. The information surrounding COVID-19 affects more people than just you. Information surrounding politics affects more people than just you. Rumors said about you on the internet only affects you. Do you get the difference? In other words, if people get the wrong information about politics or COVID-19, according to YouTube, they could potentially die. If somebody gets the wrong information about you, worst case scenario, you blow your fucking brains out. And guess what? You shooting yourself is actually less bad than 1,500 people dying because they read the wrong information about COVID-19. Do I agree that YouTube should censor COVID-19 information or any information on politics whatsoever? No, absolutely not. I don't agree with that at all. But you know what? That rationale that they use makes a hell of a lot more sense than whatever prolific and hypocritical whining you're doing right now. But apparently, according to him, misinformation is also hateful. What kind of misinformation, you might be asking?
Boogie's never actually been mentally ill. Boogie could lose the weight if he wants to. Boogie is abusive to women. Boogie posts to TikTok to fuck children. You've heard this shit.
Seriously, Boogie, if you wanted to lose weight, you could. In fact, you would. Clearly, you don't want to. At least not enough to actually put the work in. You got that surgery and just thought it'd be a fucking miracle cure. But now you're only inching closer to where you started after realizing it wasn't the cure you believed it to be. Aside from that, I don't think there's enough evidence to support the idea that Boogie is somehow a pedophile, nor that Boogie is abusive to women. Both of those claims are simply lacking the evidence required to at all prove. He may have said some creepy shit like what I lightly mentioned earlier, and that's not enough to fortify such claims. What bothers me the most about that video, however, is the implication of suicide yet again.
I've always wanted to make this video publicly instead of talking about it privately, but you know, I knew it was career suicide. But hey, my career's already dead. And I'm a fat old man, so I probably will be seen too. So maybe this could be my mic drop.
People are tired of the excuses, the lies, and the manipulation. The fact is, this clip is the only thing I think he's ever said that has ever held true.
I learned not how to negotiate but manipulate. I learned how, not to be kind but to be cruel. I learned not to forgive but to judge.
Boogie has been on YouTube for nearly 20 years now and is the same pitiful and inconsistent, disingenuous, petty, manipulative cunt he's always been, just slightly thinner. I am truly, absolutely ashamed that I had ever been a fan of Boogie2988.
Drives me up the wall that somebody who is literally doing better than most people in America right now, owns his own house, has a fucking man cave full of like luxury items. You know what most people do in Boogie's case when they come on hard times? They sell their shit. They take their expensive fucking gaming cabinets and fucking sell it. They don't say, super chat me so I can read your shit online, guys. Please, I'm struggling. I'm living paycheck to paycheck. Like, I'm only consuming like 4 times the amount of calories someone of my height and weight should be eating every day. Like, I have legal expenses in there. So does everybody else, bro. Like, you are literally going down to the soup kitchen and asking the hobos to feed you. Oh my god, poor Boogie, don't be mean to him. Like, the dude's not struggling that hard. Like, he can't be. He owns his own fucking house. That automatically makes most of his issues trivial. Oh, he's got medical expenses. Oh, he made bad fucking investment. Welcome to the real world.